This is the invisible force behind most of your decisions. And the crazy thing is most people don't even realize it. And that's what we'll be talking about on today's Speak and Get What You Want podcast. Great to be with you. You know, that force that is there, that is real, that really either helps or prevents you from getting to where you want to be, is that desire for you to seek approval. Now, a few days ago, I had a guest on a podcast who reminded us the importance of really being selective in who you associate with. The why behind that is because they will give you approval for either making good choices or less than good choices. What I mean by that is this. When you want to dream big, when you want to set huge goals, when you want to accomplish great things, if you surround yourself with people who give you approval of that, people who encourage that, people who are also doing that, then you are more likely to actually go and achieve that. But when you choose to associate with people who will say, oh, you don't want to dream that big, because if you dream that big, if you set those big goals, then I'll feel guilty because I'm not setting big goals. So let's all be mediocre together. The reality is this: your desire to seek and find approval is real. It's real. Don't say, oh, I don't care what other people think, because in reality you do. So the key is, rather than just push all that aside, be very selective in who you surround yourself with. It's something we've talked about on other shows. It's something that we emphasize. It's something that is so critical as you start this new year. And regardless of when you're listening to this show, you really take inventory of who you're associating with, who you're surrounding yourself with, who you're spending time with, because their approval is either going to push you to greatness or hold you back. Now, I give that as an example just because recently, a couple of years ago, TK and I wrote the book Speak and Get What You Want. And when we approached one of the publishers for the book, who actually ended up publishing the book, she read the transcript, the manuscript, and she goes, this is amazing. This is, I haven't been this excited about a book in years, right? And she was so excited about it. She publishes the book. We sell the book, we give it to people, and they're thrilled with it. They're like, this book's phenomenal, right? But then over time, I hadn't been putting as much energy and focus on distributing the book. And that's, I'm being vulnerable here. And for some reason, you haven't received that positive approval. And so your faith begins to wane a little bit. Well, I had a client see that I had written this book, and he ordered the book. He starts sending me pictures and of him reading the book. He starts sending me quotes from the book, and he goes, Chad, why is this book not a bestseller? This book's phenomenal. This is one of the greatest books I've ever read. And he starts saying all that to me as he's reading the book. And then what happens? Well, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I need to start sharing the book more. I need to start distributing the book more, all of the above, because that is the power of approval. That's the power of what happens when you're getting the right feedback. There was a study done recently. This episode is brought to you by 10 Days to Create Clarity, a breakthrough course inside the Speak and Get What You Want Academy. If you've ever craved more meaning, more momentum, but not knowing where to start, well, you're not alone. The problem isn't motivation, it's clarity. These 10 days give you exactly that. Simple direction, real confidence, and clear next steps. You know exactly what you want, make decisions without second guessing, go from drifting to taking action, and align your life with what actually matters. And you'll feel a real shift fast. If you're tired of scrolling, stuck, or waiting for life to make sense, stop waiting. Join the Speak and Get What You Want Academy and start the 10 Days to Create Clarity course today. Go to speakandgetwhatyouwant.com, where it talked about 22% of people who were convinced to make a decision change that decision solely based upon other people's approval. That is powerful. So as we approach this new year, as we really think about what are we going to accomplish in the next 12 months, in the next 3 years, and so on, we really need to be mindful of people that are either going to give us approval or those who aren't. Associate those who think like you in the sense of thinking bigger. Now, if you're not associating with people like that, then you need to adjust that because that approval is real. So I'm going to give you 3 things that I really want you to focus on to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people, but also recognize where your feedback is coming from and embrace the feedback that's going to align with your goals. And what I mean by that, and I'm not suggesting for a moment that we discount people telling, because maybe we need feedback that's going to get us to a better place. However, number 1 here, and I really want to focus on this, make sure your decisions are anchored to the values that you have and that you want to accomplish, and you're not reactive. Okay, what I mean by that is this. Take the time, number 1, take the time to get very, very clear on your destination so that you can anchor your decisions on that destination. Then begin to surround yourself with the people that are going to help support you in getting that destination, because you've got to eliminate listening to the feedback from those who may not have the same desires to set out for those ambitious goals. Number 2, make sure you are very selective in the validation process of people that you're listening to. Okay, what I mean by that is be very selective in that validation. Quit seeking validation from people who are living in a mediocre place. So number 1, anchor your decision in that destination of where you're going. Number 2, be very selective in where you're getting your validation from. And you can see that there's this theme that's kind of permeating this, which is who are you surrounding yourself with? But and then number 3 is be comfortable being uncomfortable. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. And what that means is people that are successful are okay in the discomfort. That is not to say that they love being uncomfortable. That is not to say they enjoy it. But what it does mean is they have become comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So when I get up and speak in front of thousands of people, it's still, there's a part of me, even though I've done it thousands of times, there's a part of me that is still, a little, has those nerves moving in the system, makes you feel like you're alive, there's no question. But the more I've done it, the more I am confident in my capabilities to do it. You see, when you are really focused on your capabilities and you remind yourself of what you can accomplish, then you will become more comfortable being uncomfortable. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is this, because those 3 things are so critical. Make sure you're anchored in your destination. Number 2, make sure you're very selective in who you're getting feedback from. It's so important. And then number 3, make sure that you're okay with being uncomfortable. You go, I'm not okay with it. Well, of course you're not. But be aware of it and work to become more comfortable with that. And the last thing I just want to wrap up with is this. Make sure that you are aware of your affirmations. Make sure you are aware of the inner dialogue that you're having within yourself. I mention affirmations. I say mine every single day, where I'm repeating and reciting what I know I am and what I know I can and will accomplish. I remind myself of that every single day, because so many are trying to discount you. So many people who are living in a state of mediocrity don't want you to excel. They don't want you. Even, by the way, even close people. A couple podcasts ago, I had a guest who was just saying, even my own family tries to give me to give up on my dreams. Why? Because they don't want you to get hurt. Now, I'm not suggesting that people who are trying to hold you back or people who are trying to discount you have ill intent. That's not the case at all, because in some cases it may be loved ones who don't want you to get hurt, right? They say to themselves, don't dream that big, because if you fall, oh man, that fall is big. Why don't you dream little? That way if you fall, it's a little fall. But the reality is, surround yourselves who will say, you know what? With people who will say, you may stub your toe here. You may struggle here. But guess what? You're clear in your destination. You know where you're going. And you are going to achieve success, period. It's like I'd mentioned a few podcasts ago. Cassie and I were having a discussion about how certain things were going to turn out with one of the businesses we were working on. And she goes, are you stressed about that? And I said, no, I'm not stressed. I'm simply curious, because I know it's going to work out. I'm just curious as to how it's going to work out. And then I went and did all that I can, and incredible things are happening. So recognize that the power of approval is real. It influences you. Make sure, number one, that you're anchored in where you're going. You're clear in what you're going. Number two, you're selective in who you're listening to that's giving you that feedback. And then number three, make sure that you're working on being uncomfortable in the uncomfortable. But as I mentioned, be mindful of that inner dialogue that's telling you, guiding you, directing you, because you have to make sure you're managing those words that are coming to your mind of who you are and what you can and will accomplish. Approvals are real. It's real. It influences you. Let's manage it so that you can and will be successful. Now go have a tremendous day. Take care, everyone. Bye now.